Hey, everybody.
Yes, it is, ladies and gentlemen. Father Hines and his great band playing for you from the new Grand Terrace on Chicago's Great South Side. Get ready now for 30 minutes of super jive in the Father Hines style. Yeah.
Good morning, all. Hey, Martin. Hey, Lorena.
What could this be?
Hey, Karen and Chris and Carol Denise. Hey, Sarah. And Marcia. And hey, Miles. Hey, Betsy. Hey, David. Hey, Todd on YouTube and Christine and Timothy. Hey, everybody. Oh, hang on. That should fix that. Thanks, Kathy. Hey, Pamela. Hey, Marie. Kristen. Hey, Dixie. Good morning all around. Hey, Heather. Hey, Rodney and Gladys. Morning, Dina. Hey, Carolyn, today the solstice? Sounds about right. Morning, Susan. I think it's floating around here someplace too. They were just doing some running around, playing their favorite game, which I believe is called Horse Stampede. Kathleen, I haven't got confirmation from the boat, but I think it'll be Saturday, October 1st. Yeah, it's gonna be about 100 today, so I am working from home. Plus, might have construction in. They're redoing the back doors on the building, which means I finally got to add a smart lock, so I can tell if my door is locked from far away. Am I going golfing? I am not. Hey, Dado, hey, Kathleen. Morning, Karen. Morning all around.
Powerhouse Golden. Yeah, Earl Father Hines carries on now and presents Leroy Harris to sing Teacher's Pet.
Come on, I'm just hanging out over here. Waiting for some pets. We'll give it one more minute or so for people to get on. We're just going to do kind of a preview today of Thursday night's tour. A guy I've been researching all day. I just can't wait to talk about. Yeah, hop up, Miles. Yeah. Oh, here comes Priya over there. Priya was just over in the window. There she goes. She just trotted away. Just missed her. We'll let Earl finish off a little bit more. Then I'll show you guys something cool. Morning, Bob. Yeah, today's another really hot one. Yesterday wasn't so bad. Well, it was pretty bad. But I was able to leave the house. Today is going to get up to about 100, so I don't think I'm going to leave the house. I went for coffee early this morning before it got hot. But, morning, Grandma Bell. Well, all right. Now, the hearings will be on at noon. Yes, you should definitely be watching the hearings. But all right, everybody. Let's go ahead and start up for today. So welcome along, everybody. I'm Adam from Mysterious Chicago Tours. Good morning all around. I'm glad everybody has made it. I'm working from home today because there might be construction coming at the back of the house, and also it's really, really hot outside, and you know how much I love when it's hot outside. So, one of the things that I'm doing today while I am homebound is putting together the Thursday night tour, which is going to be Volume 2 of Cemeteries of New York. I just have too much stuff from that to cover in just one tour, but I loved doing the one a couple of weeks ago. So I'm just going to give kind of a brief preview of one of the stories that's going to be coming up back at St. Paul's, which I was actually able to get some night footage of a while ago. You got the Oculus, which is a mall/train station. And then over in the shadow of that in the World Trade Center is St. Paul's Churchyard. You know, St. Paul's Churchyard is known now as the 9/11 Church. It's a church that was almost miraculously spared from falling debris and being destroyed after the World Trade Centers collapsed at 9/11. However, one thing I am continually shocked by is how many bad guys there are buried at this place. Off in the distance there, you can see George Frederick Cook, an actor of whom nobody had anything good to say that wasn't related to his acting abilities. Drank himself to death after insulting the United States regularly. Over to the left is George Eaker, the guy who shot Philip Hamilton in a duel. People who fight in duels are just generally not that well regarded. Especially those who actually shoot, shows that they're not a gentleman. But right around the front of it is the guy I've been at all day. Now, a lot of these things, you see these just slabs that are really entrances to old vaults. If you dig down there, there's down honeycombed down below, there's going to be like a brick vault containing some remains. In this case, it is a guy by the name of John R. Ling. Now, John R. Ling, possibly also pronounced more like Lin, I've been looking for a picture of this guy, and I'm kind of surprised it didn't come up because he's mentioned a lot in Frank Leslie's Illustrated newspaper and in the National Police Gazette. Oh, the National Police Gazette is so much fun. It's a total tabloid. You can't believe a word you see in it, really, but it's got a lot of good pictures and a lot of really wild stories, and really it just says a lot about John R. Ling if you know that he's the kind of guy who turned up a lot in the National Police Gazette. Early on, he worked as a carpenter, then became a firefighter. But this was the days when firefighting companies were all private, and they were mostly just excuses for gangs. If a fire broke out, all the firefighting companies would try to block up would send somebody to block up the fire plug, the water main, and so that none of the other fire companies could get it. There would be fights over who got to put out the fire. Often the house would burn down before they had actually resolved anything. But he is best known as a crooked gambler, a saloon keeper, and a boxing promoter, particularly boxing promotion going back to the 1840s when he was just in his early 20s himself. Back in the 1800s, boxing was generally bare knuckle and generally a lot more brutal than it would be today. About 1842, there was a famous fight between Lilly and McCoy, of which Ling was deeply involved as a promoter and possibly one of the seconds. After 120 rounds beating at each other in this grudge match of the century, McCoy was dead. He died in the ring. Ling was in charge of carrying the body to the nearest steamboat and sailing away. 1855, we'll move on a little bit through his history to practice. Perhaps his most famous affair is William Poole, known as Bill the Butcher, seen here as portrayed by Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York, had been involved in a couple of fights with a boxer by the name of John Morrissey. They went back and forth. There was one time when a whole bunch of people attacked Morrissey. This was at the height of the know-nothingism era, the political party who wouldn't even say what their platform was. It was just known that they were wildly anti-immigrant. A lot of people attacked Morrissey because he was Irish. Ling tried to stop them and ended up getting beaten up just as badly himself. But later he stopped being friends with Morrissey because really he didn't like the Irish very much either. But a few weeks after that riot, in which there had been a fight between Bill the Butcher and Mr. Morrissey, Bill the Butcher was shot at a bar nearby the one that Ling was running. Several of the murderers, the shooters, came and hid out at Ling's place for a while. Ling was eventually arrested as either an accomplice or the murderer himself. And this went back and forth for quite a long time. He was a witness at the trial, was eventually let off the hook, though he almost certainly was probably an accomplice to helping the killers escape. Bill famously died saying, "At least I die a true American," leading to all sorts of patriotic plays about him in New York for years, even though it may or may not be true, and also, frankly, the guy was a racist jerk. But Ling himself lived another 30 or so years after that, up until 1888. By 1888, burials in this part of Manhattan were long over with. They could only be done at all when somebody was interred in an old family vault. Ling had been bragging for years that one day he would be buried underneath Broadway. Most people probably thought he was kidding, except that vault is really prominent. You see it when you walk by. All that was inside of it as of 1888 was the remains of a child from years before. Ling was largely cut off from his family, but they had made the arrangement that, okay, he can be buried here as long as you get a well-soldered lead-lined coffin, so he's probably still in reasonably good shape down there. So while they were burying him, one thing that was reported regularly was a guy walked over and said, "Hey, that's my family vault. What are you doing?" And they saying, "We're burying John R. Ling." And the guy said, "Oh, he's my father, but I haven't seen him in years. I hadn't heard about him dying." One story after another about this guy. I am still trying to sort them all out. It just amazes me how many bad guys we find buried at St. Paul's. So that is the story. A bit of a preview of what is coming on Thursday night. I'll plug the upcoming tours. Thursday night, we're going to be talking about John R. Ling. I found a lot of drawings of the fighters that he was a second for and the fighters that he promoted, the fighters that were involved in his various police affrays. He was always getting in trouble with the law, was John R. Ling. I haven't found a drawing of him yet, though. Still working on that one, and it may be that one does not exist. Upcoming stuff, so that's Thursday night, NYC Cemeteries Part 2. Then Sunday morning, I'll bring back a full-length Sunday tour for Pride Month in Chicago cemeteries. Only one in person I've got scheduled right now. I'm unsure whether to do something on 4th of July weekend or not. It's going to be crowded all over the place. But June 25th at noon, it'll be 50 Ways to Die at Graceland Cemetery. Still putting together that one, too. I'm putting together a lot of stuff these days. I got to rush right from there to do a Talking Head gig. But all right, everybody, thanks a lot for joining me. I'm Adam from Mysterious Chicago Tours. And be safe, stay cool, watch those hearings, and stay spooky, everybody.